in America, the worst place to live in America. Main issues, sky-high rate of violence, and more people living below the poverty line than anywhere else. Can't deny it, it's all true. But everybody still wants to live here. This city's always got a promise for you. Might be a lie, an illusion. But it's there, just around the corner. And it keeps you going. It's a city of dreams. And I'm a big dreamer.
Nobody gets hacked. To get hacked, you need somebody with 197 IQ, and he needs about 15% of your password, right?
Ladies and gentlemen,
Okay, so hopefully everyone should be able to hear us now, and this is going to be the first instant reward. Hello, everyone. I'm already going to click this thing in chat. Welcome to our... Whoop, what is now going on with the camera? This is fun. Let's see here. Something's going on with the camera. I might have to restart the camera here, because it wouldn't be a Cyberpunk 2077 stream without any bugs. Let me know if you can all hear me in chat. And then we're going to go to our group chat thing and figure all that out. Okay, so that works again. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this special DEFCON 201 live stream. We're going to kind of get quick to the point here because I believe we finally got this running. We're going to find out in a moment. Basically, if you just want to know, I'm one of the two co-founders. I'm Sidepocket. I'm one of the two co-founders of DEFCON 201. We are a computer hacker group that's based out of Jersey City, New Jersey. We meet, we used to meet physically every Friday, third Friday of the month, but thanks to COVID and a totalitarian government and laziness and Stuxnet and a bunch of other things, we've been live streaming all of our stuff, including special shows and doing charity runs and things. Again, if you want to find out more about us, Elite Hackers, you can go and check us out at defcon21.org. You also find us on a bunch of social media, such as our Twitter at defcon201nj, and just defcon all over the place. Instagram, GitHub, we're on the hostdux.social instance of Mastodon. So what are we doing today? Well, or tonight. Hey, Dosla Mona, nice to see you here. We decide, since it's since Cyberpunk is now, that we will be playing the legendary, glitchy, controversial, culturally appropriating, and CP, not that CP, but Cyberpunk AF, Cyberpunk 2077. I'm joined with me, and I'm actually probably going to briefly flip over to the browser here, so let's do this transition and quickly possibly show you who we have on here, and I'm going to turn them back on so we can all hear. So I'm turning the desktop audio on. You can probably hear the game music in the background, and now we'll turn on the browser. Hello, everyone can now hear you. Who's in the Jitsi right now? Introduce yourselves. Anybody?
Well, I'm not. Hi, I'm Rob T. Firefly.
And what does a Rob T. Firefly do except just look slick all day? Is anyone else in our Gypsy chat right now? There we go. Anyone else want to talk? I know Johnny Axis is in there, but he's going to get water and is going to come back. He's another cool guy. And also we have.
You guys have to go.
Yeah, we're going.
Hey,
we're out.
Is there a way we can I hear what the presenter is saying like live? Because
Yeah, I think Side Pocket, we can't hear you through the Jitsi. We can hear you
Oh,
just
okay.
through
Hang
the
on.
stream.
Let me change that's an issue. Okay. This is why we hate this platform. Let's see if I can do it. I should hopefully be able to do a
Yeah.
different mic
I had to
here.
unmute the stream to hear you, and that's you in the slight past. So
Yeah, so just give me one moment here. Again, it wouldn't be Cyberpunk 2077 or a DEFCON. See, we're doing something crazy. We're doing DEFCON 201 and Cyberpunk 2077, two things where it's glitchy and it never works all in one thing. All right, so let's see if I can.
The master of unlocking header is still on.
Oh, duh. I always do this. Every stream, I always end up accidentally leaving the logo up. There we go. Now this is a normal live stream. Give me one moment here. I'm just trying to figure out the audio options here. So, do you know where this is in here?
Mic settings.
Yeah.
Is it over here?
No.
because there's a slight delay, and I think it hasn't picked up that you've gotten
Right,
back on.
no, that's I'm just going through everything in here. All right. Are you able to hear me now? Are you able to hear me now? And now my hello. Oh, this is why I hate this platform.
I don't think we hear you in the Jitsi yet.
All right.
Yes, we're still not hearing you in the Jitsi Side Pocket.
I think the only way this is gonna work. Stay in there. We're gonna have to spin up Jitsi on like a different thing.
Like a different what thing?
Like I'm gonna keep this running, but I'm gonna need to like use another device and log in.
Your phone?
Oh, can it do it through browser?
There's an app for that.
I know, but I have like no space.
How? Let me get a device.
All right. Hang on, we're gonna solve this problem here. Basically, I'm gonna have to go in on another device so that you folks can hear me. Because this is what drives me crazy. Because there's a flaw in Jitsi where not only is it not very adaptive to microphones, but also that like the OBS will always be the dominant microphone. So, so yeah, that's basically what's happening here, if I remember correctly. So just.
Listen, I'm in big trouble. You know anything about computers?
I know, right? Actually, I'll do the impression of how he acted. That's all he did. That's all he did in that scenario. Mm-hmm. Here's the end that plugs in with the plugs. Hopefully we don't like kill all the ampage in this. I don't need to see it. It just needs to be off the side. You can like log in as you or something. I'll type in the password and hopefully it won't.
Set up.
Okay, hopefully it won't spring up as me. How do you?
It's USB type. Other side.
Okay, because I can't really see in this. So this is called.
Mm-hmm.
No charge. So.
Have you attempted forcing an unexpected reboot?
Well, let's see. Wow, I look really cyberpunk as fuck, like with multiple computers going on at the same time.
You know, it's a stereotype that hackers use two keyboards at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, or you're just Leo.
Yeah. Okay, this isn't getting power at all. Is that, plug not working? Okay.
No, they all should be working. That's how I have everything running here.
I'll try a different outlet.
Maybe that cable's just fried.
It's expensive.
Okay.
So is Jitsi like a like another kind of like Zoom sort of program.
It's like a free open source platform. Can you hear me now? Are you able to hear me now on this? I'm gonna guess that's a no.
Nope, we're still only getting you through the I've got the
this.
Twitch stream up and I can hear you through that.
Oh god, I really freaking hate this.
Good old Jitsi, innit?
Yeah. See, the other thing is there's the big blue button that you're able to stream on thing. You need to install plugins beforehand. Yeah. Nice background there, Johnny Xmas.
Plugins?
Unfortunately, even if there's a delay, the only solution that we can think of for right now is that you might have to unfortunately like run the stream even though there's a bit of a delay that we're streaming on of your choice. Because this is a rare glitch that occasionally happens with this, and we already got
the weirdest thing too. I think.
Be careful.
Yeah.
We are almost.
Yeah. Also, side pocket. You've got you've got to I think refresh the browser that you've got Jitsi up in because we see Johnny in the stream and in the Jitsi and he's not up on your version.
Oh, okay. I'll try to reload and log back in. Let me just take the browser view down. Maybe this will actually work. That will make me laugh. I have an idea.
Aha. Now we can hear you in the Jitsi. Ah, that looks better. Yes, indeed.
Yep.
Yeah. Making us do all the work.
Yeah, you look almost real.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. Should I switch my likeness? Should I do like Cyber Witch? Like, what do you want?
Whoa.
You just name it. What are we doing for? This is more Witcher, I think. This is. I'll let chat decide. Yeah. Okay. That's cool. I could just do potato. Is a
Hey, now you're stealing my look.
Potato Cyberpunk. Oh, I like the mustache on the potato. What's up, Jack?
Hi, Jack. Mm-hmm.
Ah, man. I can hear you.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
He was telling you to be silent. Like he's like, that's enough. It's enough, buddy.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, Child's Play is where we what do you call it?
It's working.
Yes, I might have to flip him back and forth between mics.
Okay.
We Child's Play is a charity run by the Penny Arcade folks who they're trying to raise money. They raise money to get toys and assistive equipment for people who have illnesses and who are disabled and things like that. As the computer just fell asleep.
What?
It just fell asleep.
The Cyberpunk computer?
Yes. So we were about to get into this, and then that just happened.
Well, we could talk about Neo Feud for a while, apparently.
Yes.
Let me just change
There you
that
go.
setting
Nailed
right
it.
now.
So what
There you
are
go.
you saying?
I'm gonna change that setting right now. So
Okay.
It doesn't sleep again.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do, actually, you can talk about Neo Feud if because what we're gonna do right now is apparently we forgot to set the computer to not fall asleep on us, so we're doing that right now. But yeah, tell us about the superior Cyberpunk game, if you might.
Anyway, hey, yeah, thanks for bringing me on, GI Jack and DEFCON. Good to be here. I'm Silver Spook. I'm a native Hawaiian activist, defender of Mauna Kea, our sacred mountain here in Hawaii. I'm also an independent game developer at the Silver Spook Games Worker Cooperative 2, which is myself and my partner that just was in here for a little bit. Our flagship game is Neo Feud, which is a cyberpunk game about a lot of things. One way to think of it is like Disco Elysium. One person said recently, Disco Elysium, less frustrating, better social commentary, more cyberpunk. It's a point-and-click adventure game in a lot of ways, like LucasArts in '90s.
Yeah, we need more of those.
I had
Good.
them up and up. Yeah, exactly. So it's
Absolutely.
kind
Good
of
call.
yeah. So also it was like one person. I was like, I can't make a 3D, AAA game or a single A game or anything by myself. I did the writing, music, art, and programming on this because that's what I had access to at the time, and it took a long time, about 3 years. But it is a game that's about a lot of topics. But my experiences as a social worker and a STEM teacher, growing up in Hawaii, and one of the most beautiful places in the world. But I live on the not so nice side of the coconut trees where the tour buses don't take you, which is right down the street from literal billionaires. And while working full time while homeless, living in a Mazda Tribute for portions of it, living next to a meth lab above a highway for portions of it, working with asylum seekers from Honduras to Filipino human trafficked individuals to poor kids from South Carolina that happen to get their entire livelihood stolen after the Hurricane Katrina and the ongoing economic annihilation in the actual cyberpunk dystopia that we all live in. And my job was to basically help these kids get on paths to better, paths to somewhat reasonable living in this society that discards them like little pieces of toilet paper. A lot of the kids that I work with ended up working for Amazon, making Whole Foods vegan and non-vegan goat cheese in the for-profit prisons, because that's what the United States deems a great thing to do with most of the kids in these ghettos and the poor people. And many of them died in gang warfare. There are Bloods and Crips. I had them in my classroom. I had literal Grand Theft Auto students, not just like Grand Theft Auto reskinned with 80s retro future pretend cyberpunk games like the one we're going to be playing. Like literal people who stole cars for a living. And it was trying to get them to, just kind of convince them that the best thing that they could do is actually get a degree, stay in school. And like, well, I could steal $3,000 worth of cars a week, or I could sell $4,000 worth of meth.
Yeah.
Why would I want to get a job at 7-Eleven? Why would I do science, technology, engineering, and math
Why would I take out a $50,000 loan?
Yeah, take out a $50,000 loan, and I'm gonna be as broke as you, teaching full time, homeless in your Mazda Tribute, eating spoonfuls of peanut butter for dinner with your wife and kids, eating
Yeah.
ramen with some peas and carrots thrown in, so that you don't literally feel horrible as a father, trying to raise kids, and telling your own student. Anyway, so all of that like dystopian hell world is what Neophyte is based on. I'm also good friends with, I'm friends with William Gibson. The William Gibson podcast is like it's probably like what I put on the flagship, because all the cyberpunk, everybody who loves cyberpunk, you're gonna know the author of Neuromancer, hopefully. So I've been reading his books a long time. I did meet my wife, and he was taken, so I married her instead. In Vancouver, and much of I related through cyberpunk because cyberpunk was very much a genre that was about the present that I was living through. Oh yeah, we have these ultra high tech and low life world with these mega corporations running everything. That's like my life, being a broke ass person, doing everything short of illegal criminal activity to survive. But we don't have flying cars and robot arms everywhere yet, and I was like, so that's what really attracted me to it. Played everything, Ghost in the Shell, Blade Runner, Neuromancer, Bruce Sterling, all the old guard literary giants of cyberpunk, and then also all the movies and the games. And then I got a programming degree, did all that kind of, and so a lot of it is Neophyte is infused with like, it's like another way to put it is like Blade Runner with like Monty Python-esque humor, or Space Quest Douglas Adams sort of humor. Instead of riffing on like fully automated, kind of like a Star Trek-y in the future, it's riffing on the replicants, the Terminators. There's a hippie Terminator that's a main character in Neophyte, who is like pissed off at the military. He's like goes on rants about the military-industrial complex, having to shoot off put down leftist uprisings in Germany during the second Dresden firebombing. It's very thick with historical and socio-political and technological and economic calamities, in the way that like a lot of the original cyberpunk, like I would say, William Gibson, Burning Chrome, Neuromancer, that kind of era of cyberpunk, really deals with everything all at one time, as opposed to just kind of like, what would it be like to have cool robot arms, or what would it be like if we had a human colony on Mars or something like this. So that's a lot of what I could go on this for a long time, but it is definitely a game that is about my experiences living in literal cyberpunk dystopian hell world, being discarded as a native Hawaiian, where it's still illegal to speak Hawaiian. There was a native Hawaiian professor that was arrested for speaking Hawaiian in 2018 in a court of law. I was on Mauna Kea when the United States military arrested 8,000 native Hawaiians for defending our sacred mountain with the armed police and military. Also, they dropped 15,000 pounds of C4 equivalent on that mountain 6 miles from our head. On top of like being at Occupy and trying to do our best to push in this world with our own activities, trying not to obviously be everything that CD Projekt Red has unfortunately been engaged in, including like kind of like transphobic actions, horrific crunch, just being a literal cyberpunk dystopian antagonist with a mega corporation that has 2 billionaires working for them, crunching their employees, things that I have done when I worked at game companies. So, so Silver Spoon Games and Neophyte was about just trying to like do something better. I actually got rejected by two different publishers because they said, you got to stop talking about X,
that's real common. Even outside of the gaming industry, if you have brought a lawsuit against a firm or employer, that's a question they get asked constantly, I see, and that's just instant rejection. Like, even if your former employer literally sexually harassed you or whatever, or didn't pay you, if you have brought a lawsuit against them, it's a death sentence. It's the stupidest thing. Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, I could go on this. I'm sure we'll talk more about it. I hope that if you got to move forward because you figured out your technical difficulties, you can. I could go.
We'll keep doing that. We're unfortunately Cyberpunk 2077 is being sold.
It's on sale on Steam too. You can.
In 3 or 4 minutes, if it doesn't work, I'm doing a backup that should guarantee to work.
So thanks a lot, BI Jack, for having me on, and thanks for playing the game when you do. I think next week.
Tell them to buy it if they don't want. That's the trick.
Hate buy it. No.
No, I'm buying it right now. This sounds awesome. I love point and click. I love Cyberpunk. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, I'm not the best at them, but it is like a genre that it's like, you know, you can
Don't
tell a
tell
lot of
people that.
stories. You can tell a lot of stories without. You don't need, you know, because you know, point and click is kind of like RPG-ish minus a lot of the combat stuff, and there's a lot of extra work, so it's like much more story centric, you know, and puzzles.
Yeah,
and you can kind of tell a tight story without, you know, because I
right.
can't
Having
pay
the
anybody.
combat get in the way.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right.
So is there a site for NeoFeud where people can go if they're curious?
Oh yeah, so that's I just put the links to the Steam and the itch.io store if you want to check it out there. It's on sale at both of those. And yeah.
Okay, so what we're going.
How's it going?
We're going to go
Cyberpunk.
to Plan B. That should guarantee to work. Unfortunately,
still hanging around?
this is driving me crazy. No, it's not an update. It's actually
he's still
You
side
just play the
pocketing up in the
it's
up in the corner of the
literally
stream there.
the machine,
Right.
because the machine's having a problem.
Oh, I guess I got to run the stream and turn the audio off. There we go.
The machine has a problem.
Yeah, that's
going
that's
through
what
our
I'm
capture
doing.
card.
You know, the ability to turn Side Pocket's audio off is something that many have craved, and only a few can actually do.
So I'm gonna do.
We could say these sort of things while he's not paying attention, right?
Yeah. Should we just play Cyberpunk? Should we each individually play the game and just stream it in these windows?
I don't know if I can run it on this computer.
I never ever buy a game launch day. I'll wait. I'm a very patient person. I'll wait 2 years for all the review dust to settle before I decide if a game is something I'm going to devote my time to. What does suck though is that means by the time I play it, you know, the technology inside of the game is now 2 years old and far less impressive.
Absolutely, but you know,
I have been
but
watching
at that
the game
point
being
also
played.
it's sorry.
I've been watching the game being played on Twitch, and it looks like it is a piece of art. It looks amazing. It is a great thing to stare at. So far, like one of my other concerns about the game was via the trailers. You know, what little we can glean from the trailers, it seemed like the voice acting was very poor and corny. Like the scripting was very cheesy. Watching the game being played now, it seems like that's not so prevalent, so that's cool. I'm sure there are cheesy, you know, aspects, and you can't really. The flip side of that coin is you can't make a good game without, you know, throwing down some tropes, unless you're really good at inventing new tropes. So I understand that, but it's been cool to watch so far. I don't know if I'm a fan of the game yet, but I like staring at it. It's very to speak of Cyberpunk, it's very Blade Runner 2045, where it's like I don't know if the movie's good, but holy crap, was this fun to stare at.
Yeah, it's one of those things like Blade Runner, even the original. It's like the stuff going on in the background can hold your interest entirely on its own, and then there's this also story and acting and whatever. But
and that's what makes it art. I mean, I can't believe, you know, in 2020 we still have this argument of, are video games art? Like, have you fucking looked at a video game ever? Like, of course it's art.
Yeah, so Roger Ebert like passed away while he was still having this argument, and
yeah, he did. And you know, as a Chicagoan, fuck that guy.
It's the double GPU thing again.
Are you kidding me? Of course it's art.
Yes,
Right.
but
I got chat up here now, so we should also involve them. What's up, chat? But yeah, go on.
And as GI Jack said in the chat, I still play GZ Doom. So you know, talking of old tech, or you know, waiting a while to play something. And that's the thing for me too, is like when I first heard about this game and what they were doing, what they were putting together, it seemed interesting. Oh, it's the CD Projekt team, that the ones behind GOG. Okay, that's good. Then I go and look at it, Windows exclusive for the Cyberpunk game. I'm running Linux here, and so I'm gonna wait, and maybe there'll be a port.
That's stupid.
Or you can pick up a cheap AF PS4 now that everyone is paying the scalpers for the PS5s.
Right.
You know, and play it there. Or you could just wait.
Why can't anyone make technology?
You know, find something else to do in the interim. I am so behind on my games. You know, I think everybody has that. You know, Steam is the new
That's the first problem.
There used to be there's a Japanese word that went around for people who collect books they never read.
Just do everything.
Oh yes,
here.
Steam is the American version of that, I think.
I'm still like just now getting around to checking out games that I backed on Kickstarter like 6 years ago. One of them I found out wasn't very good at all.
Oh, they never are.
Yeah. But yeah, so there, you know, I don't need to be bleeding edge 0 day, whatever you want to call it with games. I mean, I still have the original Wii hooked up, so you know, that's why I do consoles.
Yeah. I have the original Wii hooked up in my arcade, and I use it for console emulation.
Yeah,
so I don't know if that counts. I don't know if anyone follows my stream here, but I do Wreck-It Wednesdays where I dismantle old technology. And Wang, who you may know from Hope, frequents my channel, and I had on I was taking apart an old Dell C600, which is a Pentium 3 750 machine, and a laptop, and he was like, dude, that thing still runs Quake. I run Quake. And he was sending me pictures of him actively running Quake 3 on it. And he's like, why are you taking this apart? It runs Quake 3. And I'm like, hey, you can donate in chat and I won't take it apart.
Yes, donate or the machine gets it.
Yeah, in fact, you know what? Here it is. I haven't emptied the trash yet. If
oh, the humanity.
Yeah, this is what a C600 looks like in the exploded view. Oh, actually, and I have my little COVID virus here. That went to that was a 3D print that didn't work out. Yeah, right. I've been printing these and handing them out in public. Like, here you go.
I know you said that before, but we will finally be ready.
So yeah, this is this Dell C600.
Thank you for putting up with.
If anybody is missing parts for theirs, I have a bucket of them. I'm happy to ship you.
Keep it simple, stupid stuff.
Oh. That's Cyberpunk, right? Old tech.
Absolutely.
Paleoware.
Paleoware.
Yeah, I do still play GZ Doom, GI Jack. Also, I don't play enough of the Steam list games either. I'm like way behind.
Yeah, no, it's still all like I used to run an arcade back in the day, and I'm like, you know, I love MAME. I will just say that I love MAME, and I love you know, it's actually more fun playing them for free that way than it was playing them for free when it was the physical machine and I had to keep it working. But that's just me. Oh yes. Well, your main cabinet's on reasonably current hardware, I'm assuming. Yeah. The sheer passage of time has torn hell out of so many of those. Like people don't realize like they're gonna have to get in and like actually replace some electrolytic capacitors because they weren't designed to last for 30 some odd years. And yeah, and I think about how many of those I just junked back in the day because I had an unlimited supply. Yeah, if I saved the ones that like my job paid to get disposed of properly back in the day, like I could probably retire on them now. Of course, I wouldn't have any room in my apartment, but.
I should be able to capture this. Just give me one moment.
And I will say I am one of those like fiends who actually enjoys playing on an LCD screen or a flat panel screen more than playing on a CRT. And I know a bunch of you are switching off the stream now after hearing me say that. But that's just me. Oh, there's a, and it looks like the stream went down. Or are we still hearable on the stream, or are they going over to video? Oh, okay. Yes, they're no longer looking at us. They're looking at a black screen.
All right, it is currently trying to connect. Hopefully in the
Oh,
next
there
minute
it is.
it should be a go.
Excellent. I think I have to do the same.
All right, we're doing one final death throw here, so cross your fingers. Again, I apologize. I kind of wish we're almost recording this part, because this is like really like, you know, hacker Q&A of let's try this. Nope, this doesn't work. Let's try that.
Hear a siren. It is very cyberpunk. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, how long do you stream for normally? Oh, I mean, on this DEFCON. Oh yeah.
Okay, so update. We have one final gambit to get this working properly. If we don't, we're going to use the most bootleg method that we've done
All
before that
the
will work,
streamers say
and everyone will
that
laugh in
they
chat. So
love
I'm
you even
sorry
though
for
you can't
wasting
hear them.
everyone's time,
They're
but
trapped behind a wall
I
of
guess we're just
ice.
emulating
You know,
right
they're
now
trying to
what it
break
was like when this
out
game
of it
came
with the
out and
Quang
everyone was stuck
MK5
in
virus. Whatever.
purgatory hell on Steam for 2 hours.
Tessie Ashpool's, you know, shadow banning them from jitsies.com or whatever. So is DEFCON was originally like a in-person live event, but you guys have been doing it online recently? Oh,
All right, so final thing. We're not killing the stream. Don't worry, everybody. What we are going to do is, after I deal with the weird spam that just happened in
okay.
chat,
Okay.
there we go, is I'm going to post the charity link again. We are going to get this show on the road. I so apologize for everything going on. Like, literally everything that would fail could fail, which is bizarre because I've done the game capture process before. So what we're simply going to do is we are going to do the bootleg method right now. So I am going to do some quick things here, and you will see what I mean in a couple of seconds, and then I'll be able to properly chat with everybody. Someone just asked if we tried turning the laptop on back and on again. We actually did.
We actually did.
That's the level of what the fuck is going on. TV.
Okay.
So you're gonna the narrating I'm doing here. So basically, I'm currently rebooting.
Wait, Steam released
camera
Cyberpunk
here.
2077 for
should
Linux.
work.
That'll be your plugin.
Yep. There we go.
Oh,
It plugs into the TV.
Oh, I have to plug it in TV. Okay. I actually don't know which one is one, and I keep forgetting which order it's in, so I'm just plugging it with the first one that I see.
Okay.
If I can fucking find it. Also, which angle do I have it at? It should work like this. So we're plugging everything into the TV. Then, the next step is I'm opening another video capture device, and we're going to use
Where's the TV remote?
one of these. There we go. TV remote. Okay. And that's the new insync code. We are literally seconds. Why the heck's this logo on here? All right, we're literally seconds away from finally getting this show on the road. Yes, we are using an Elgato. Basically, from what we understand, either I have forgotten a setting on here that I can't remember, or, which is what we're more thinking of, is that basically instead of reading it just as a video feed, that it is reading it as, what it is a separate PC. And thus we weren't. Oh, wrong thing to do there for me. There we go. And thus we weren't getting anything. So we are going to do what is possibly, understandably, it's multiple side pockets, and we're going to do the most bootleg thing I can possibly think of. There we move McDonald's out of the way. And then because this lens is really wide on this thing. That's how we're doing this. This is exactly how we're doing this right now. Which means now I can actually get the show on the road. So the first thing I need to figure out here is okay, so I can unplug the Elgato, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm going to plug my.
Wait, what's that? Okay, that's not the Elgato.
It wasn't okay. Oh, the Elgato's in the other port.
It's
okay.
in the USB-C.
It's in, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. But yeah, that works, and that's my other favorite thing about this is. It's more like the gaming PCs are curved, so it like slides. All right, so the last thing I'm going to correct here is we should be able to get audio from the TV through the microphone, which will be hilarious. And I just plugged the wrong thing in again. And hang on, where is this cord go to? There it is. All right, so now I'm curious, where's this guy plugged into?
Right.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
All right.
Good to meet you.
Okay, so now we can hear everything. So I can get the controller past. Yep. And
yeah.
Look, we're gonna
take it easy.
Switch the lights here. Let me try it the other way.
Can you still only hear me from the Jitsi chat?
Okay, I think we're ready now. So, we are now entering this game. So, my question is, if you can hear anything, is, when you were in ye old young age, what was, like, your experience with the concept of, like cyberpunk? Like, what cyberpunk is to you? Did everyone hear that question? Can anyone hear me?
Wait.
Anyone?
Oh. Hey, yeah, Side Pocket. Everybody can only hear me. They can't hear anybody else on the Jitsi for some reason.
Now we can hear you. Yes. Can you hear us like through?
Can you hear us?
Through the?
We can hear you through here. I'm just going to be back and forth on. Can you speak again? I just want to make sure the desktop audio is connecting.
Okay.
Okay.
I can speak. I can say we know of a certain fjord in Norway.
Awesome.
Where the cod gather in great shoals.
Awesome. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. That's awesome. A flaw with Jitsi. Occasionally it just freaking craps out. So I'm just gonna pick this up.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So I don't know if Johnny Xmas had to do more important business. I hope that was entertaining. I feel bad because everything was just like stupid, but now we're doing this in the most bootleg way possible. So I hope everyone enjoys. And I just want to remind before we go on, we are trying to raise funds for the Child's Play charity. I just put the link in chat. If you are on Twitch, we have a widget if you scroll below. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to raise money for toys and assistive equipment for people who are mainly children who are currently ill, disabled, or suffering from domestic abuse. So that's what we're doing all month until New Year's. So
excellent.
I'm trying to choose the difficulty here. So while I start futzing around, and I might ask things in chat. What did back in the day, like, what does cyberpunk mean to you? Let's start off with that question.
Okay. After you.
Oh, me first?
Yes. Sure. You are the one with the better cyberpunk game that can actually run. So.
Cyberpunk. What does cyberpunk mean? Yeah, like cyberpunk for me. I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but it's a genre that to me, like cyberpunk. I really identified with the world and the stories and the characters as differentiated from like just your average science fiction, which often follows the characters for whom the world was made. Kind of like the West Point graduate, piloting the starship or whatever, for great exploration, for great colonization, and I'm a person from a kind of impoverished area. of Hawaii, like I was talking about. And so the cyberpunk characters are a lot of the people who are like, the outcasts, the people who were, living in poverty, people and doing what they needed to do to survive. Obviously, then that's criminality. Or as the cyberpunk. One thing I liked about the cyberpunk, one quote was, "What defines a criminal? Those people who get caught." Right? I think Keanu Reeves says that. And like I really like identify with that kind of world because that's where I live. That's where I'm from. It's from one of the most impoverished areas in Hawaii, and so it was it was kind of like I could kind of see myself more in those characters than your average Star Wars, Star Trek sort of world, and it really drew me to it. So that's a short story.
Before we go to Rob, we're offered an interesting choice here in the game between like our life path. I kind of find it funny that there's only 3 life paths. So we have, I don't know if I'm going to read the descriptions because I also want Rob to answer, but and then I'm going to answer, which is we have Nomad, which sounds, I think these are almost kind of self-identified, which is, let's see here, roaming the Badlands, life on the road wasn't easy, growing up in the Nomad clan has its perks, honesty, integrity, and a love of freedom. That's an interesting honesty. Okay. Then we have Street Kid, which is like basically Jersey City, as far as I can understand. And then corporate is like, let's see here. If you leave the corporate world, so apparently I worked in corporations, and now I apparently am not working in corporations. So it's just like 2020, or I have no job anymore. So. I'm trying to figure out which one. I'm leaning towards Nomad. Sounds, I don't know, kind of weird because it's like honesty and stuff, and I think it's more of a Mad Max thing. And well, ex-corporate might be interesting. I'm gonna probably pick the stereotype here and go to Street Kid. But for you, Rob T. Firefly, back in the old days, back when there was 26 meetings and you had a full head of hair, what was Cyberpunk to you?
I don't know if I remember that far back. No, Cyberpunk to me, it was always. Like I'm an 80s 90s kid, so that whole sense that was being portrayed in speculative fiction like Gibson's, but also rare stuff in film and television. Original Blade Runner, Max Headroom was very important to me, still is, and the whole idea of, I mean, it's commonly described as high tech, low life. So sort of dystopian stuff, sort of things that are going on below the surface, behind the scenes, in the dirty parts of society, but involving future tech basically, and how hackers and people like that could exploit that tech for their own ends, and also what that tech might do in the hands of, say, oppressive forces such as governmental or corporate or both. Types of things.
I'm finding it interesting in this game that like you have very realistic skin tones. Meanwhile, in the game like Animal Crossing, I can like change my skin to like blue or green or whatever, and like I know maybe it's the whole thing of you have a natural body and then you have body mods, but I kind of find it funny that in the cyberpunk world you can't just like be like automatically born or like genetically engineered with blue skin or something. So I just wanted to point that out. I just want to say
you haven't gone full transmetropolitan with like alien gene splicing or whatever.
Well, so for me, with cyberpunk is like, that's kind of what we're a bit getting into. Is for me, it's that combination of the words that you have the technology mindset of you have all of this tech surrounding you, and then the word punk, where you are you are not necessarily for norms. That I think I said this once in 2006 on Radio Statler at Hackers on Planet Earth, that it's when hacking is not just something that you do as a hobby or like it's a criminal activity. It's something where you need to know some sort of hacking in order to literally just survive on the interwebs, and like that's kind of like how I sort of see it. I guess as vague that it is, and I'm gonna. Oh, well, okay. That's I just turned myself into Johnny Xmas there. I kind of wish he was back for this. So I guess what I could say as we're looking through now is like, what was some of the stuff that sort of like influenced you growing up in terms of like, it doesn't even have to be like cyberpunk, but just like media in general, because I think at this point with the internet, every piece of media is now essentially appropriated into technology. So what was some of the stuff that like influenced you as a hacker? It doesn't even have to be like sci-fi or cyberpunk.
You want to take that first? Yeah.
I can take that first. The media that a lot of the media that really influenced me was kind of cyberpunk flavored, but also more conventional sci-fi, Star Trek Next Gen, things like that. But also the media that I was getting on the early internet and the BBS scene, things like text files, that were all these bizarre adventures that other people seem to be having and typing about, and sharing info on the old version of social networking, when it wasn't easy to find people in real life who were interested in the nerdy things I was, but online they existed. On like appropriated teleconferences they existed. 2600 magazine was very influential. Wired magazine in its early days, when it was using 27 fonts in 30 colors every page. Mondo 2000, also a very important cyberpunk type work, with so many people who were influential in the scene and still were involved with that.
Don't mind me, I'm just self-absorbed in my eyebrows like I am in real life. I'm guessing because Spook, you've actually created a cyberpunk game. You probably run the entire gambit of like pop media, science fiction, cyberpunk things that have influenced you growing up.
Yeah, growing up, like actually, I got my Nintendo when I was like 4 years old, 5 years old, and I remember spending a lot of time. Cyberpunk games generally, and particularly, were kind of like an escape from a real world that was it was pretty rough. I had a pretty rough time in school, and so I kind of like came home and I was immersed in like Mario's, Sonic the Hedgehog, everything, StarCraft, all the whole list of video games.
It works like
So that was
Oh yeah, with the cursor.
really, yeah, that was really influential for my upbringing. But yeah, when it comes to science fiction, I really got into Cyberpunk. I think I played Deus Ex. That was like the kind of like touchstone that sucked me into
the first Deus Ex, yeah.
Deus Ex the first. I actually I spent 2 years working on a total conversion called Terminus Machina for Deus Ex, where you play a homeless you play a homeless socialist activist revolutionary trying to take down the
Whoa! That's like every word. Now the FBI is going to show up in our apartment.
Exactly. And in the game, you're dodging literal drone strikes and fully automated police robots that are like patrolling San Francisco as you try to jailbreak for-profit prison slaves that are making iPhone 9s in the lab. So it's kind of Terminus. It's Terminus Machina is like Deus Ex, but even more so. And Deus Ex pulled me into like the Neuromancer cyberpunk literature kind of group, and then really into a bunch of cyberpunk muds. From there, I kind of got more and more into all the other more straight into like science fiction and studying all that. And yeah, and I got really I was a really big fan of Gibson, particularly joined the message board, and that's how I ended up doing the podcast with William Gibson, was through friends in the Gibson fan space. And also Neil Gaiman had a huge fan base, but that's more fantasy.
Yeah, that stuff, like we were talking a little bit before the stream went on, just amongst ourselves, and someone mentioned the Space Quest games, which were also like that era of gaming. The point and click adventure games were very influential for me, but also the sense of humor that like Space Quest had, which was very similar to like Hitchhiker's Guide and things like that, because the comedic end of things always meant a great deal to me. Going back to text files, there were our friends at Phone Losers of America who were doing hacker text files, but like funny ones that were frankly hilarious a lot of the time. So like things with that sort of outlook, like Space Quest, also just meant a lot to me and still do.
Someone brought up in chat, major figure, which is one of my favorite people growing up, is Philip K. Dick and all of his drug-fueled insanity that is sane because we live in such an insane world. And this is actually, it's funny that you brought up like making a game based on dodging drone strikes and stuff, because I guess the next question, as I'm hopefully nearly done making like a character here, because there's way so many options that I didn't realize and we haven't even gone to. Although we did turn on like the do not show genitals while we're on stream option, which there is an option for that. Even though last time there wasn't like any problems, because I was watching streamers yesterday on it and they were showing everything and they haven't been flagged, but you know, we got banned from Chatterbait. So like I want to absolutely, yeah. The last stream we did, we were doing a thing about sex hackers, hacking sex, and ironically, the one stream where you talk about boobs and dicks, we got banned from. So during the stream, got a good amount of viewers though too to that. So I guess the next question here before we get into some gameplay, and even if it's me playing by myself, which I'm used to, I could do that. Which
Go back to Chatterbait with that.
yes, you read all the you read all this media about actually now I'm curious about something. Oh, okay, I can't do that. That's interesting. Is that we read all this media growing up, and to go off on a bit of a tangent here, one of my favorite interviews with a scientist, and unfortunately I can't remember his name. I think his name is like Gaben something, not Valve Gaben, different person. And he was someone who was one of the main senior engineers in NASA at the time, and he was talking about how for him, when he was a child, because he's old as shit, the Star Trek, the original series, was what inspired him, as well a lot of astronauts to go into NASA. And what's so bizarre about that is that they had all this different crazy tech on the show, and one of them is the communicator. And like back in the '60s, when everything was wired down on the phone lines, it just blew his mind that someone that like you could have this wireless communication device that could go from like planet to ship communication and have crystal clear signals. And then that the irony is that he realized before the interview that not only do we have communicators on Star Trek, they're called smartphones, but they're more powerful and have more functions than they actually did on the science fiction show. Which is that kind of whole thing of that, the hashtag we've been doing, which is called Cyberpunk is now, that a lot, it's like, or a boring dystopia where it's like we are living in this world with these algorithmic, corporatocracies where like there's no difference between governments, corporations, and religions and state actors, and we have all this technology around us, but instead of like what you see here now with like these cool implants and like kung fu and women with their nipples out, it's boring. We got Rudy Giuliani melting, we got we everyone's wearing Uggs, that wasn't in our cyberpunk stuff. So what I would ask is, and we could talk about this for a while technically, but it's sort of like what things did you think back then in terms of cyberpunk that came true, and what things did you think back then that didn't happen, whether they were good or bad? Like, like what was your expectation for the future, and then like how you're like dealing with it now, if that makes sense.
Oh,
it blew everyone's mind.
A little bit, but no, I think the things that I thought would come true that haven't yet are like the cyberpunk vision of what cyberspace would be, which would be something that like you directly plug into in some fashion. Virtual reality, it's still a nice novelty, but it's not a mainstream reality for everybody. We've been promised working VR since the 1990s, and it's still really not there unless you happen to have a big bag of money. But the like I said, the boring parts have happened, like the oppression, the fact that your data is under the control of everyone but you, the fact that privacy is more and more a distant memory, the fact that all these sorts of things that that people thought would be hassles in a cyberpunk dystopia are hassles in the normal dystopia in which we now live, whereas we don't get the cool toys to play with so much.
I think it's interesting that you said the boring parts came true, because I also want to remind that in a lot of these cyberpunk universes, that like to the main characters, the whole point was you had all this crazy tech and all these atrocities, but because they've grown up and gotten used to it, it's become banal and boring to them. So I think it's funny that you bring up that it's like, oh, we get to do all the boring stuff, but like in a lot of these like in these cyberpunk novels and games and media, the characters are bored within the universe because they've been so abused that they're conditioned to just accept what they have as reality. So I find it interesting that you say, Rob, that I'm not negative criticizing it. It's more of like hey, we're living in the boring parts, when in a lot of cyberpunk fiction, the world to them is boring, and that's sort of like the horror of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know what's come true. Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah, I would agree with everything that has already been said. It's interesting. I remember there's a one line in Neuromancer. It was like, Shanghai 3 MB of hot RAM through a fence in Shanghai. I think maybe I got that backwards, but I'm still waiting for 3 MB of hot RAM to be worth $20,000 in 2060 something, which is apparently, according to him, when I talked to him, that's the date when it was set in. So I'm still waiting for that. What else are we waiting for? The cell phone technology was one of the things that kind of was missed like earlier on. That we kind of got a lot more of that. Like was kind of described like everything like the calculator, your GPS system, your panopticon system, your video, your work, your life, your romantic life, your ability to pay your taxes or not pay taxes, your ability to find a job, a university, get a loan for a business, all comes through one device now.
I did find one amazing feature of this game. You can apparently turn your nipples on and off.
What, you guys can't do that? I mean, that's,
This is to me the game. This almost is game of the year for me. I literally could just do the entire stream of just turning this guy's nipples on and off.
Yeah, half the fun's always in the character creation.
Yeah.
It's like back in the day, I used to have the WWE and WWF games for like PlayStation 1 and 2.
Wrestling games were good.
Yeah, and like I wasn't even all that much of a wrestling fan, but I loved just creating the characters, giving them movesets, and then setting matches going with 0 players. So like just creating these guys and letting them fight each other. I didn't want to actually play the game. I just wanted to like build them and see what they did.
Which is funny because you could argue with how much stuff is automated today that like that's essentially what like AI bots are on the internet now. Where you just set a bunch of parameters and just leave them on their merry way, you know? Another fascinating thing, and it's funny that you brought this up, Spook, which is like I was going to get into this topic later before I start this journey, but I might as well bring it up now, which is that there's been this whole thing now where essentially like there's a sort of a quote revivalism of cyberpunk where they're bringing it back. But as someone who kind of like grew up during a lot of the era where this stuff is written, it's been weird because just like everything else in our society, someone also wrote in chat, there are eye nipples. You can take them off or put them on different colors. Please don't give Apple any more ideas. But like the whole thing is like, so it's like, and that's actually real quick. I just want to put something in there because I just realized I have to explain this part before I get here. So like one of the big things that still influences me a lot growing up is The Matrix. Forget I'm one of those weird people that like all 3 movies, even though I understand why the 2 sequels drove people nuts. And I agree with those faults for the most part. But the thing is like, you know, to me, like that was like the sort of like, oh, that's that era of cyberpunk where it was 9 instead of it being what do you call it? Instead of being synth, it was 9-inch nails, you know? And so what I find fascinating is that we're starting to see all this like cyberpunk revitalism with like new art and stuff like that, and like this game and stuff. But if you've noticed here, if you look at the color palette, I know it's hard to see because we're doing this on a potato, but you look at the color palette and like the design decisions in this game, it's extremely not just 80s, but like an idealized version of like what the 80s is. And so I find that fascinating that, you know, there's all these different sort of type of cyberpunk, and yet we've all settled on like this 80s aesthetic, which tells me that it's been properly appropriated, that like, what do you call it, that we're the new cyberpunk media that's coming out, they're hauntology, they're just repetitions, and they're idealizing so basically like cyberpunk is now a retro niche instead of like a continuing on subgenre. So
well, it's like if G.I. Jack is still over there, he actually had one of my favorite comparisons, because we all know of like the vaporwave aesthetic, which is, you know, all 80s, you know, turquoise, gleaming, you know, old school CGI, what have you. And I think I'm pretty sure it was G.I. Jack that put it this way, which is cyberpunk is the dystopian reality, and vaporwave is the brochures that were used to sell people that dystopian reality.
Right.
Like that was the that was the ad campaign to
I like there's a stat in
sell
here just called
what we got
cool.
with cyberpunk.
Like, see, that's what I mean. There's a stat in here that's just called cool. And what's nuts is like I was designing the game. Technical ability would be like 6 different categories, you know. So like this is what I mean by this. That I just find this like, you know, I'm kind of like amused in this like legit amused yet banal way of like how this is literally like Cyberpunk opium for the masses edition so far, even though we're still on the character creation screen. I also do want to bring up, because I was watching Chelsea Manning stream. In fact, if she's streaming this game again, or if she's just streaming in general, we'll probably raid her stream on Twitch. But they were talking about, which now I'm afraid if this is going to come up when I do this, oh, wrong button here. The fact that you can like customize, apparently, I guess we didn't hit that stage, of like your genitals or whatever. I think it's because we turned the option off. And that she was asking, like, does the genitals like impact the game in any way? Like, is there actual gameplay around this? And there's 2 really bizarre choices in here, which is one, despite being able to choose all different types of crazy genital types of combinations, your genital type affects your voice. And also, it affects the romance options.
Oh boy.
Because I remember she was freaking out about that, which I find, again, you know, bizarre. Again, it's that veneer. And to be honest, as someone who's half Polish, there's sort of, to me, kind of a meta commentary going at CD Projekt Red, where like, when they started off as a company, Poland, just like the United States, had like a very different government. Like, it was leaning towards social conservatism, but it was like, you know, still like a country. And then essentially their version of like the Trumpers took over, like even more severely than what happened into this country. And like, it's just been a mess ever since. And so like, the sad part is, because that's been coming up, I don't know, Silver Spook, if you want to comment on this, is that like CD Projekt Red has been under fire of like retweeting and then apologizing for like Gamergate type memes, and like doing these sort of things where it's like, oh, you have all your choice of these genitals, but then the genitals in terms of the gameplay are still in a very like not just binary, but like old school like 1950s level of binary. And that's, and like, you know, everyone else is like shocked, but like I'm just thinking of it in the context of like the current political climate in Poland, and I just have this like sad sigh, and like I'm not surprised, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess like to put it in a nutshell, like I mean, CD Projekt Red, like I've kind of talked a little bit earlier, but you know, if I had to comment on it from what I've seen, and I've watched a few playthroughs, read several articles, you know, it seems like it's directionless dad rock in the sense of the dads who are now make America or make Poland great again, right?
Right.
Brexit, Trump, and the far right parties. You know, you have alternative for Deutschland, you have alternative for Sweden, you have Salvini. You know, we're all going back to some. You know, and like if Trump is like make America great for, you know, the cis white straight upper middle class dudes, you've got the liberal you know, elites that leaned in to the more gay and more women war criminals party, right? That's the blue MAGA. And then Cyberpunk is cyber MAGA, which is a thick candy of superficial neon mohawks, shiny cyber park scrub of meaning and quote unquote politics strewn together as a billionaire private jet payment scam and RP1 like weapon of mass distraction to make insulin rent with Twitch subs for people who are starving to death under mass eviction until neo-feudal collapse and pandemic and civil war. That's what, to me, Cyberpunk is. It's a multiple billionaire yacht payment scheme that says absolutely nothing, is a regurgitation of really should have just been long ago discarded tropes. And there are more interesting things happening, but you can't play the actually interesting actually progressive games because everybody's gonna have to stream this game for their $3, tonight to pay for their freaking ramen that they're probably gonna have to dumpster dive if they don't get it. So anyway, that's my
like. I agree with you, and even in a media context, it's sort of like morbidly fascinating because I bring this up all the time. I think what's so weird is it's not like we didn't have this type of like superficial, I guess you could say, like, oh, this would be a fun term. It's sellout punk instead of cyberpunk.
Cyber bougie.
Yeah, is or cyber hipster is probably more accurate. But that
Yeah.
what's so odd about it is that like I think in the 90s there was like this very much like it's like like the movie adaptation of Godzilla where it's bad and it's poorly adapted, but it's done in such like a like oblivious type way that you can kind of laugh at how bad it is. And what I find odd now is we've reached this sort of odd like fidelity with stuff that a lot of the cyberpunk stuff, and I will always bring this up because this movie drove me crazy. This is like my version of like the Ghostbusters 2016 thing. Is the Ghost in the Shell live adaptation remake, which is which is nuts because what's so nuts about it is that if you just watch the film and like you don't turn like the audio, the subtitles on, they not only nailed like the shots from the previous animes, but they've like nailed the whole visual aesthetic, and that's what makes it even like more bad and horrifying because they've nailed everything visually, but there is no context or anything around that. Like the actual thing itself is completely hollow. And so that's what's kind of making this weird now is like we're in this like simulacra simulation by Gene Bolger thing where we have these like truly exact photocopy molecule by molecule, but there's none of the actual purpose or substance there. And in a weird way, it's a cyberpunk hell.
Yeah, the paradox of cyberpunk present, where mega corporations ruin everything with the collapse phase capitalism, is they destroy cyberpunk itself by diluting it to meaningless for dollars.
I hate to get political again, but it actually reminds me, which is something that Jack and I talk about, of like that like in the 90s when I grew up, like there were like you could tell like who was politically aligned with who depending on. Okay, it's going to slideshow mode because of the mirror. But I might have Tyler fix this point. But the thing is that like so you kind of knew which was like politically depending on like certain like media tastes. And like a constant thing with like conservatives in the United States is that they absolutely hated rock and roll. And so it's so bizarre for me to see now like when you like turn on Fox News or like what's the new stuff out there? Like OAN and like and News Corp and stuff, or even like other news channels like CBS and stuff. It's see if I can turn away from the mirror and it should like speed up a bit more. There we go. Is that it's like they're like playing the White Stripes. They're like playing all the metal stuff that in the 90s they hated. And it's like this weird sort of thing where essentially what you realize is that they've appropriated it. And I feel like that's what's kind of going on with a lot of like science fiction and overall culture now. Like I'm going to make Jack groan in the other room by saying Ready Player 1 and 2, enough said. Which to me is like the epitome example of like what's going on now with like pop culture technology and like fake cyberpunk essentially. All right. So it's a bit of a slideshow right now. All I know is that like I'm gonna try a little bit of this, and I might have Tyler come back, I'll come back in and fix this. But we do know that a lot of the stuff that's a problem with this game is apparently they never figured out how to do mirrors correctly, which is bizarre because we've been doing mirrors since literally Super Mario 64 in terms of 3D space, but this modern next-gen game does not know anything of how mirrors work, and that's why if you notice, when I look away from the mirror, the frame rate is mostly fine, but as soon as I look at the mirror, not only does it go into potato mode, but like it's literally this is like Stadia levels of lag.
It's not just 64. There were mirrors in Super Mario RPG.
Yeah. And yeah, see, I look away and now it's like a decent 30 frames a second. As soon as I look back, like that just amazes me. Silver
this is your punishment for being so interested in yourself.
That's an interesting question I might ask was there a purpose on setting it like in 2D in terms of like narrative or aesthetics, or was just that like I'm sure Jack's gonna ask this too next week, but I'm just curious, was there like a purpose for setting it in like a 2D landscape, or was that just like the most easy way for you to have developed your Cyberpunk game at the time?
Yeah, like I said, like Terminator, like the game I worked on before that was a Deus Ex Total Conversion mod. That's obviously Deus Ex is a 3D, it's 2000 PC era, Unreal 1 era, but still, like it was too much for me to kind of like develop my own game. I had done Shadowrun, Returns, mod, and then I had done like a Unity. I tried to work in Unity, but it was like this isn't gonna work out, and so I need to make a game that I can make myself, that I could kind of had the possibility of selling to recoup the costs and such. And so the point and click genre was I saw I played this game Techno Babylon and Primordia. They were two more recent point and clicks. Techno Babylon is a good I think it's a better Cyberpunk game than a lot of other ones. And I was inspired because it was like 3 guys got together and made it in a year. So I said, one guy could make a full game in 3 years. And so that was kind of the thought process. It's basically what I was capable of doing. I'm currently working on a bigger with a team of 5 or 6 folks on a bigger like sequel, like Deus Ex style Cyberpunk immersive sim to Terminus Machina. That's like another project I'm simultaneously working on. But so it was basically like the financial, economic, and personnel constraints. That's why I was 2D. Yeah.
You guys, I got to check out of here for a bit, but I'll probably be back on later.
That's perfectly fine.
But,
if it's not here, that means we may have like quit early. But I think we're probably. I think at least for me, I'm gonna try to stream to 10. But someone in our chat, by the way, said their favorite mod. I'm assuming they mean the original Deus Ex is Dystopia. Just putting that out there. But yeah, thank you, Rob, for coming in. Hopefully, we'll see you later because I know this was. I think it's hilarious how we had everything else lined up, and then the actual getting the game through the capture card thing just completely failed. It's a Half-Life mod, okay. Which is weird, because I played Half-Life growing up, and either I forgot about that... oh, I know what you mean by dystopia! Yeah, my brain's not working today. My brain's, like, running as well as this game is.
Spin it. What is it now?
So I'm going to make some guesses here, because after I get through this, like, cutscene here, we'll probably reset the game in order to have it run at a better stream resolution, because I think this was set on before when we were trying to test resolutions to see what the capture card could pick up. But, so while I have you on here, Silver Spook, I want a quick question. I want to know your opinion on, like, there's been controversies about Cyberpunk 2077, like, throughout its entire development, both internally and externally. And then, like, it felt like the last, like, 48 hours was just, like, a giant pile-on. So I was just curious about, like, between, like, the epileptic stuff going on and everyone being stuck in download purgatory and stuff, like, what's been your opinion about, like, ironically, like, CD Projekt Red being, like, the same corporations that are kind of in this game?
Yeah, it's kind of goes along with what we've been talking about. It's like I tried to hold back on directly because I've had when my game first came out, a lot of people just came out with a lot of baseless accusations, like this whole thing is a giant asset flip. You stole every single asset. Like I worked on the art, and it took me a long time, and so I was like, I was kind of giving them like benefit of the doubt. I don't want to talk about how good or not good the game is, so I play it, this and that. But then,
Right.
I have some friends that are like they know people who have worked at CD Projekt Red. There's a preponderance of the evidence of like a lot of this, just anti, LGBTQ plus stuff, non-apologies, like a series of them, and then the crunch, and then there are people who have been working for a year with a crunch. If you don't know what that is like working up to like 100 hours a week, often with unpaid overtime. It's like disastrous. I've seen people like lose their life. I mean, like die, be hospitalized from crunch. As I used to work at some bigger companies.
I used to work in
and
video
all that kind
games
of
as well. Anyone who undersells what like crunch is has never ever worked in like any form of like software development ever. And it's really highlighted because here's the sad part too, right? It's the same way I am with hackers, where like because I'm a lifelong gamer, like it doesn't seem like that now because I actually want to see if like we might take a small break and then if you want to go, that's fine, and then we might take a small break and then redo the resolution on this because I think this is back when we were flexing with this thing.
Okay.
But that basically what do you call it? That because I'm a lifelong gamer and I identify as a gamer as one of like my backgrounds, like even culturally, I'm hypercritical of game development and someone who's also made games, game development and the game community and like the relationship between the two, right? So like, oh, hello.
But
So anyhow, sorry about that. I got distracted by digital badoing dang. But wow, that really was distracting. Also, it's because I probably need water. But I'm very thirsty. But no, it's, yes, is that and so like my issue a lot of times is that like I'm there's all these stereotypes about gamers about like how self-centered they are and things. And the suck ass part is that there's enough toxic ones out there that's why they drive me crazy and I'm hypercritical of them because it's not like it's there are certain things where like media people will make up stereotypes, but like one of the sad things about a lot of gamers, like for example, a lot of hackers, like the media will say things like all hackers are criminals. And there's a bunch of hackers that are criminals, but that's like not true even in the slightest. Like most are not. But like in the gaming world, even when it's a minority, there's just so much of them that like the accusations just don't come out of nowhere. And it's this weird, again, I think it's from growing up in corporations, this sympathetic nature. It's like what they said in the Matrix that it's like the fans of like this game, for example, the diehards are like they're so enticed by the system that they'll fight to protect it, even if it's like against their own like needs and wants, and like that's just like a huge criticism for me there. I'm actually trying to figure out how do I pause this. I think it's this button. There we go. So yeah, that's just sort of what I feel like there. I'm gonna pause and kind of I guess talk for a bit, and then what we'll do is we'll go on a short break, and I don't know if there's gonna be anyone else in the chat, but we're gonna reload the resolution on this, and then I'll play through some more. Okay. I will say I am excited for next week for GI Jack to play your game on the stream. From what I understand, I don't know where he's downloading the game from, but I think we're also going to be talking about like DRM and like places you can download. So, and that actually, by the way, drives me crazy too. That like CD Projekt Red made GOG. So there's this weird disconnect where on one hand they've been like they do GOG where there's no DRM with stuff, but then like for example this game is completely reliant on DirectX 12, which as you can tell barely even works on Windows like high powered Windows machines. Never mind Mac, Linux, older versions of Windows, things like that. So it's sort of like it's like the way like politicians they'll like donate to some like abstract charity, but then do like horrible things behind the scenes.
Yeah, definitely. It's CD Projekt has definitely kind of you kind of weaponized. They kind of got the Bill Gates play, which is like be the the billionaire philanthropist, arms dealer, playboy. Well, I'm sorry, that's Iron Man. But be the philanthropist. I'm not ultra rich off the backs of a lot of exploited labor and doing a lot of really shady things. I'm a really nice person. We don't. They kind of said like we don't do. We don't do the DRM. We're not Steam, right? We're different. We're better. They talked about we're not going to have all these predatory microtransactions and like online games, online casino masquerading as a video game, which a lot of the really big bloated games became. And then it's kind of like, and we're not doing crunch or we're better about it, blah, 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 blah. But then it comes out later that they've really just kind of been riding on, that positive PR. It's definitely a thing.
That really affects gaming too. There's this weird thing. It's almost like politics where you make like you make a game that reviewed and sold well. Now you have this like weird prestige, and then like everyone acts with you and your products as like a cult, and like and so they excuse a lot of like terrible things until you reach the eventual breaking point of the point to no return. Like I have to remind people all the time that when EA Electronic Arts started out, they were actually mostly a reputable company, and they were really interested in expanding like video games as art, which is like literally the complete opposite of what they are now. Like people thought that they were like always like this, and they weren't. And there's other companies who started off, again, last like Activision. Like Activision started off with because Atari, the main big company at the time, wouldn't give any of their creators credit. And Activision was one of, if not the first public company to give game designers credit. And when you look at them now, in my opinion, they're like even worse than Atari was back in the day.
Oh yeah,
and
I can see that. Even one thing I noticed this because I have worked for like nonprofits. I'll often say a lot of things that call themselves quote unquote nonprofit is code for, for profit, tax deductible, like image laundering and money laundering scheme to like buy off senators. And it's a weapon. It's really sad, but it's it's common across many industries. From gaming to just running. I mean, that's how a lot of politics is run, and a lot of even health and hospitals do a lot of terrible things. But you can't attack us because we're nonprofit or we are saying this and that. But it's actually but you're not paying any taxes in this area. Where all this money is being funneled out to other millionaires. Baltimore's falling apart. So that's it's a commonplace. It's a cyberpunk reality.
Yeah, and a lot of them run on that. And honestly, I think, to me, I also think it's also funny that you brought up Bill Gates, because Bill Gates is still a major player, but I think one of the horrors was back then there was Bill Gates, and for most people that was it. Now there's 20 Bill Gates. There's 20 Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and all of these, we thought one was enough, and the cyberpunk reality is that they've managed to breed and multiply. And to me, some of the worst offenders are the ones where you expect from the origins of what they came from, from a nonprofit, that a broad one I'm going to mention by name is for example, PETA, where PETA, I'm someone who likes to treat animals ethically for the most part. And so I've been involved in the past with a lot of actual animal rights groups that try to get rid of unnecessary killing farms and trying to open up actual shelters for adoption and things. And then you have PETA, where they're the biggest people around, and because you think, oh, they're doing technically on paper a good cause, they're good, but then when you look at what their activities are, and it's the opposite of their bottom line, and that's not unique to them. We have a lot of that in the tech world. There's a 3-letter organization that I will hint at is not the EFF that I've been criticized. I'm not going to say it on stream, but I've criticized in the past where I know a lot of people who used to work for this nonprofit organization, and you would think that because of the background and some of the people who are and used to be in charge, that you expect one type of attitude from them, but in reality, their internal workings are almost indistinguishable from a lot of the same companies that they often try to fight. So that's the part I also think, because real quick, and then I think we're gonna try to reset the game here, and I'll probably play a bit, and we're probably gonna figure out kinks. Maybe we'll do this again and have everything work. But the thing about it is what was I getting to here? Because I really need water. And I just want to also relate, Silver Spooka, thank you for having me on here, and I terribly apologize for earlier. We've streamed video games before and everything. We've never had issues like this ever. So this is, when we're done streaming, we're probably going to keep working on this, because this is it's like the hacker thing where it doesn't work, and even if it still doesn't work, you want to know why it's not working, right? But or a game dev thing, that's a thing too. If you don't have a deadline, that's you just get obsessed about that. But yeah. But what was it? I'm trying to talk about I think there's been this thing I've brought up before in my private life, which is this sort of existential crisis of the modern hacker. And thank you for sending an ice cream, Unisilman on D Live. Thank you so much for that. That's a type of incurrency on that live stream. But there's this whole crazy thing where I'll put it this way, right? And it's the question of, you run into a lot of hackers who are at best apathetic about sex workers and even without sex workers, online censorship when it comes to sex. They will raw about censorship all day, about how terrible it is, but then when nipples happen, now they want to censor everything, no matter what their political background. And then and it's so it's bizarre, because I have friends ask me that, why when I see these hackers, they're either apathetic about this type of stuff when it involves sex hacking and sex work, but then you meet sex workers and they're the ones building learning how to code and building their own infrastructure for streaming and chat and things like that, because they constantly get screwed over. So they're wouldn't the computer hackers built this? And part of my theory of where we're now in this post-cyberpunk world is that we live in this existential crisis of like all the current hackers who grew up back in the day are basically depressed now, because when they were making this stuff, I think there was a fantasy kind of like in the cyberpunk genre that like, oh, we're gonna build like we're gonna make onion routing and we're gonna make better encryption methods and backdoors and all of this stuff so that in 2020, in the very far future, uh, when like the FCC declares war on the entire nation and stuff like that, like we will have the infrastructure there and then charge and fight them. And what happened is a lot of those hackers now work at Google, which is not like you can have a daytime corporate job, but there's this whole thing with corporate jobs of any type, whether you're just like flipping burgers or like being on the board of a company, where you start thinking like a corporation. Like corporate life now affects your own personal life. So there's a sad thing where I think a lot of hackers are like subliminally angry, and this is just my theory, because it's 2020 now. The FCC has declared the war on the nation, but now they're working at Google making stuff for the FCC, and instead of them running around in shades and leather doing kung fu flips and hacking into NASA, it's the sex workers, the ones who didn't have any background in tech. And it's kind of like what George Carlin said about boomers, where they were all like free love and like riding on Harleys and stuff. But now that they're staring down middle-aged burnout, they've turned self-righteous because they can't live like that anymore. It's now a younger or a different group of people or generation that are doing that. So they have this thing of like, well, now if I can't live out my cyberpunk fantasy, no one should. And that's just kind of my personal theory of like this undercurrent subliminal of like these hackers. Because I have a lot of hackers who are good people, but they're like, I'm like depressed, but like I don't know why. And it's not like pills or anything. There's just something culturally. And when I tell them my theory on that, they're like, wow, that makes way too much sense,
Oh, it does. It does.
Mhm.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So
Um,
I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna restart the game at a different resolution so it runs better, and then I'm probably gonna play for a bit. And it's up to you if you want to stay on here, but we're gonna go on break, play some music, and come back. So I don't know if you're gonna stay on. I don't know if you're gonna leave, but I just want to reiterate again to thank you for thank you for coming in on this, especially at such short notice, and thank you for being on next week's stream, which I promise will go a lot better because Jack already has everything set up and tested, and and that and I also apologize for all the stuff that happened within the first hour, because that's literally the first time that's ever happened to us with a video game thing. Although I did have a suspicion, because I will say I've tested on consoles, which our capture card are pre-programmed for. PCs are like, as I always say, no matter, I'm pretty sure in Cyberpunk 2077 and 2077, printers are still a problem. Like nothing's compatible with any printer. I bet you anything, because it's like, what is it? Email and printers just never work. Like they just don't.
like 75 different types of cables. Yeah.
Yeah, and like everyone has to have their own special network interface, and or like you just won't work unless you pay us. So
Yeah.
we're gonna go on a short break where I'm gonna try to get Sarasota to relaunch the game. So I don't know if you want to stay on, or not. I just wanted to reiterate and thank you for having on here, and thank you for expressing all of your awesome opinions on here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I probably do have to go, but I will be back next Thursday, and
Yep.
yeah, for Neophyte when you play through that. Thanks again to GI Jack for
Yeah,
reaching out.
you'll probably see me in his room, like asking questions about the game and poking at his ears. So.
Okay, yeah, and if you do, like, I can't be here probably today, but like if you do, I don't know, do another Cyberpunk 2077 play another time, I may be able to like pop in for a bit. Yeah, it's really great
That's
to meet
fine.
all you guys.
I'm thinking about doing that just because of the calamity that happened earlier, but we'll look into that. So I do want to remind to everyone watching that while we do enjoy frustrating ourselves trying to stream stuff, we have been, and I would love to see it get better. We're trying to raise money for Child's Play. It's a charity that's set up by the Penny Arcade people. We were actually at the Penny Arcade Expo East earlier this year, back when we could physically meet people. That's going to happen apparently again in June, and if it physically happens there or virtually, we will hopefully be there. But they have a charity where up until the day after New Year's Day, so once January 2nd hits, our charity run's going to be over. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to raise money for kids to get toys and medical assistance gear who have suffered domestic abuse, who've contracted illnesses like COVID, and who also just have like certain mental and physical development issues. And basically, we want every hacker out there to be their own Santa Claus. And I want to say that we do everything through Tiltify. So we don't handle the money. It's a third party that handles the money. That's why we talk about nonprofit stuff. We basically waste money doing this stuff because we think it's a good thing, and we also love you all out there so much. And if you do have $20 or $50, please go ahead, donate. We're trying to reach 300 before the end of the month, but I know money's tight, and mine's is too. But if you have like $10 or $5 or $3 or $1, every bit will count towards our charity run. Plus, like we did last time, we made it slightly halfway for our goal, and the sexual abuse helpline and everything, they got all that money. So even though we didn't make goal, the charity organization still gets all the money that's donated. So don't worry about ever meeting goals. Just if you feel good in your heart and you literally have $1 spare, you can donate it. If you're on Twitch, you can scroll down. There's a little widget where you can directly donate. If not, as you've probably been seeing, I've been sharing the link in chat. And the reason I'm sharing link in chat is in a minute, we're going, actually in a couple of seconds, we're going to take a short break. I'm going to rehydrate, and we're going to reboot the game so it runs at a way better clock time. It's still going to be off camera here. In the future, we're going to figure out what's wrong with the capture card.
About that, I've got good news.
Okay.
It did need to be configured for a PC.
I figured, because when a PC talks to another PC, they hate each other.
Well, the thing is, you don't have the Elgato game capture program on that computer.
Okay.
I downloaded it on my computer,
okay.
and I set it up so that it works. You don't need the program on the computer to use it. You just need it to switch it over from PC to Switch. It was actually set on Xbox when I found it.
Okay. Yeah, because if it's Windows, it will read it as a Microsoft product, so it defaults to that.
I set it for PC, 720p. Hopefully it'll work.
Okay.
So we'll probably test that. Well, screw it. We'll do it live.
Okay. We're still going to go on a break, so when you plug that in, when we come back off a break, we'll test it and we'll see if we get actual footage.
Yeah.
So we're going to put on some awesome Cyberpunk music. Just give us like a couple of minutes. I would say max, like, we're going to probably go break for 5 minutes, but I'm saying like 8 or 10 minutes max, but we will be shortly back. Again, thank you for everyone putting up with us. We might have some people coming back on the Jitsi, and again, if you have a couple of bits of money, penance to spare, you can click on that link and donate, so that way you can make a kid who's terminally ill or mentally or physically disabled a less sucky 2020 than what 2020 has been. So we'll be right back. Enjoy the Vaporwave. And we'll see you in a bit, and hopefully we'll get this thing running a little bit better. So here we go. Okay, so we are back, and here's what we are going to do now. Because we're going absolutely crazy here. Alright, so what we're going to do is, we believe we have the capture card working. And before we even move all of that and dox ourselves, now we're going to be even weirder. We're going to find out and switch over here. I think I'm the only one in the Jitsi, but I'll still leave it open. So let's see. So first I'm going to remove that one. I'm going to add a new one in here. I'm going to call it Cyberpunk. Now the reason I say it's the system is because in an idealized world, you'd be able to plug it in. What's weird is that Windows 10 is the whole point of it is it's supposed to be standardized. So it's supposed to be, you're supposed to be able to plug crap into it and it runs. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the fact that it still doesn't shows you how much of a piece of shit it still is. And the sad part is that Windows 10 is the closest you can get with stuff like that. Meaning that, like, everything else is even worse than that. Just turn this guy on. Where's the camera? So this was the original setup we had in mind. When this is not...
Loop that around under here.
I was gonna say, this probably, I think probably the best streams you've ever fucking had. Good job.
No, Jack, don't say that, please.
Okay, never mind.
No,
This fucking stream sucks.
no, for real. I'll explain why off cam. Even though I appreciate everyone that's currently in chat right now. Alright, so let's alright. Okay, so the only issue with it now is that there is is it because we're in the pause menu?
Probably.
See if I can make sounds.
You have to hit those center buttons to turn it.
The what?
Click that.
Oh.
Now it's on.
I'm gonna exit out and find out.
Beat.
Oh. Okay, so the only issue now that we have with it is no audio.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. I know why. This is a weird thing that...
It's either that, it might be something on here, actually.
OBS. Hold on. Where did I tell you it was? No, it should be this. Let's find out. And apparently it's not.
Okay. Let me fix it real quick.
Okay. So we have video working, as you can see. We just don't have the audio working yet.
Okay.
I mean, I could just put Pretzel on playing synth music. Yeah, thank you everyone, by the way, in chat so far. We've been interacting and stuff. We're actually thinking of, just because, and we can actually explain what happened here. It was honestly both a noob mistake and a frustrating thing that it's like, why is life like this sort of thing. So we might, in the future, because we've been discussing about this, try this particular game again properly.
Okay. Bad news, the sound isn't showing up out through this.
Okay.
So, do you have an audio cable, 3.5mm patch cable? If not,
like a cable to cable?
Yeah.
That's this thing.
That's what thing? Oh, from the headphone?
Yeah, except it's not very long.
Okay. Do you need it? Cause
I don't need it per se.
okay. Now I'm gonna take that and patch it through.
We're gonna find out anyhow, because the only thing I could think of is the Jitsi.
Audio. Which one is which? This one? Nope. That one?
Alright, I don't hear anything. I don't see any activity yet.
Okay. Nothing showing up?
Nope.
Okay. I don't have my phone. Just need to light this.
I'm just gonna double check the audio properties here. Look how it looked like it just blue screened. Or red screened, essentially.
I think it's this HDMI cable that's actually the problem here.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I normally have... See, the weird thing is, I don't even think these were the ones that came with the Switch, so I can't even say it's because of a proprietary thing.
It's not. It's...
And these work perfectly fine with everything.
Okay. So... You have something with a light, actually.
Yeah. That's fine. We've moved on from video problems to audio problems, folks. Because this is what we do with super advanced hackers.
Okay. Anything showing up over there?
There's no activity going on. I'll literally put it to max volume, too.
And you have the audio device from the HD60S selected, right?
What,
that's a special.
What do you mean from that?
For the for OBS, there should be an option to select for different audio inputs, like microphone and etc.
In properties?
Yeah, I guess so.
Because normally what that does is that changes the camera.
No, you're looking for the one for sound. So if you had multiple microphones, it would be where you pick the microphone to listen to. But in this case, you're getting audio from the capture device.
Okay, don't know how to do that.
Here, let me take over real quick.
Now featuring Suicide. All we want to do is play a video game. That's all we want to do is play a video game. Why won't you let us play the video game? We worked so hard. Literal time and money. CD Projekt Red, get your shit together.
Yeah.
I will say I like how the Switch Joy-Cons look under the black light. Actually, all the Splatoon stuff looks amazing.
Right now, device, HD60S audio. Okay. Now there should be a new input here. Audio input capture.
I was about to say, do we have to put a separate audio capture as well?
Yeah, and okay. Is this making music? Yeah, it should be making noise.
Yeah.
It's not showing up on here whatsoever.
Oh, what was that below?
That was the microphone.
Are you sure? Something was moving.
That microphone.
Okay. I thought I saw something go into the yellow earlier. So.
No. Check. Okay.
I should have set this to Friday and press this out today.
Yeah, probably.
Everyone's schedule was busy for Friday, though.
Doesn't matter, really.
Right back.
One thing I can do here. Just unplug that. Okay. So this is weird. It seems to be either audio from HDMI or audio from the cord. So when I unplugged the HDMI, the audio from the computer was going through the cord to this computer.
Okay.
So that's weird.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's another configuration thing.
Who knows?
Yeah, I love it. Everyone came to watch us play Cyberpunk 20, and we're literally hacking it right now.
So
to get it to fucking work.
Last thing I can think of, does this computer have a mic input or plug-in jack?
It does. It has 2 ports, and I think both are they're like Omni, so I don't know.
So then, spin this around. This wire over here. It's on the other side, isn't it? Yep. Should be one of these. Let's see.
Why do I have a feeling like this is the curse of the dark mod? Because I remember Jack couldn't get dark mod to work. And now
You seem confused. You seem confused. You seem confused.
Okay. You should have.
You seem confused.
Just because everyone's put up with all of this, I'm going to stream for like. That's an interesting graphic thing. It's like she's a hologram. I can't tell if that's a glitch or not. Because if we have this running, I'll play for like 10 minutes. Just for like. To thank everyone. And I'm still going to thank everyone for being in this stream. Because that's the weird thing. You've seen our streams before where we've used the capture card. And we've had absolutely zero issues with this. And this is the first time we're doing PC to PC. And it seems to what's been confusing. Just like real life, where advanced computer made by a hacker does not get concept of just dump audio video onto a cable. Somehow, the Tegra one on the Switch gets that, but not the supercomputer. Yeah, like I can see the thing.
You seem
That's what I was
confused.
going to check here, because the thing is, I don't think audio is incorrect. Oh, maybe that's why. That's why I asked before, did you turn it to mod or output? Now, once I've done that, we should be able to hear this. I should have advertised this as us hacking Cyberpunk 2077 to try to get this thing to work. Because that's basically what the stream has turned into. So, as much as I hate to say this word out loud, this was a plus for like trying to raise donations. And we got a good amount of people earlier, and people were expecting this whole thing. But it was a plus into now we know how to do this particular thing, and that there's an issue that actually comes from this. Because we were also pointing out that I've used capture cards as well, but they're internal. Meaning they wouldn't have this issue. Because that means I would have already configured it to the built-in machine.
You just need to check your balance.
This is the only balance that
I mean, like, turn down the game.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go at half, yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully that should work. Actually, here's the thing. So which mic is this running off of? The mic on the camera or this one? Which one?
The Yeti.
Okay, so okay, I see here. See, I would normally be like in like this, so you should probably be able to hear me better. That would also do that. All right, so if you hand me the controller.
Yep.
So what I'm gonna do is, oh, I just jumped by accident. Is just thank you for everyone putting up with this. I definitely think. Well, now we know how to do this when it comes to PC. But two is that we also now, depending on the demand for this, I would like to try this again. So that way we have everything running. She's actually dressed really contemporary. So that way, like, we know how to do this next time. Like, you know, like when they would basically run the first time we do it instead of spending. What has it been? 3 hours trying to get this thing to work. So here's it. This is what exactly I meant about like Cyberpunk Future, and like that we're like appropriating the visuals of it, but not like any of the context. Which is it's 2077. I mean, look at the way this waitress is dressed. This might be a hipster bar, but why are there old-timey arcade machines here? Maybe they're indie games? And we have neural interfaces. Why the joystick? Oh my god, hold on. I don't know how to zoom. Is that a goddamn Chicago lock?
Looks like it.
That's a Chicago lock. In 2077, we're still using a lock that you can buy a $40 to $80 tool that will instantly open it. This is amazing. What are these buttons? It's like
square.
It's like those. I like this game. This looks like a game I actually have made. This is like Jeff Minter's son from the future made this game. See, the weird thing is, that's the sad thing too. I don't know what the interact button is, but I don't see a prompt. So, oh, there's the zoom. I don't think you can interact with it. But yeah, that's bizarre. These are Chicago locks. I wonder now if lockpicking is in this game. I'm gonna have to check on the internet. Chad, if you know if lockpicking is in Cyberpunk 2077, let me know, because I will master the fuck out of that.
Also, one thing I noticed is that the games are shifted overnight. Like, they have the board from one arcade machine and the other one inside.
Yeah.
Unit.
And then there's like one over here. And I like that this is just like apparently Japanese, but I guess it's not turned on.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm terrible at turning things on. Oh, see, here's some of Jack's friends. Actually, with the way they're dressed, I can't tell if they're... They might be both me and Jack's friends. From, like, different parts of the night.
So we have to find Kirk. Apparently we're stuck in Star Trek here, so we have to go and find Kirk. And so I'm going to make an educated guess, and because there's a waypoint here as well, probably have to go up the stairs. And this is extra fun because I'm glad we have subtitles on because I will not be able to hear what the hell is going on. So we still have some kinks to work out on this thing, but at least this is running kind of the way I originally wanted this to actually run. Even with all the choppiness. And here's the other terribleness. This is an Xbox controller. So I've been trained that B is the lower diamond and A is the right diamond. And so all the buttons are backwards. So if I keep accidentally canceling out of menus, that's why. So when I see X, I have to remember that's the left of the diamond, not the top of the diamond.
Hey, Kirk. Want to talk?
For me, X is on the bottom.
V. Been a while? Spin it.
Like all
What
the
you need?
controllers have X's, but like in different spots. There's a wait. Is that Pepe?
Yes.
I heard about you in Pepe. Did we make the frog real? That's kind of sad that in 2077 this frog just won't die. Like, please, just let this frog think in peace. This is not having a foot. Hi!
What?
Person?
You too shy to hand over the Yetis
With
yourself?
cheeseburger.
Tell him I don't fight.
This is, why did Bayonne just sit next to me? And Bayonne has, this is Bayonne, he has a gun.
Yep.
I think I have to use the D-pad, maybe? Yeah.
How's your
What's
problem?
your deal? Yeah, that's what I thought. Alright,
What's
where's
he
the
owe you? Afraid that's client confidentiality.
Also
Call it
nice
a
to
lie.
know
Leave
newspapers
it at
apparently still exist. Maybe that's why they had to
Quite
push this
sharp
out into a
with
fake
business
fantasy
ethics.
future, because like,
Sounds too good
chat,
to
let
be
me
true.
know if you've ever used like, if you still like get magazines.
Well,
There is
Merry
2600.
fucking Christmas.
I know there is, but that's literally an exception. I remember with magazines because I used to collect like here's something EGM2 that used to be my jam. So I'm gonna ask him to cut me a
Cut him
break.
some
Why do I
slack,
feel like
will
he's gonna
ya?
cut me?
You pay. Just need some more time.
This is really Jersey City where we're arguing about who owes what money.
Do I look like a priest that runs a charity to you?
Well, it
You
is
borrow Eddie's,
after
you gotta pay
2020,
him
so
back.
maybe.
With interest. It's common.
See, I read that as
fucking
you
knowledge.
borrow edibles, not you borrow Eddies.
You suggesting I let a flaky cunt who can't keep a deal off the hook? No, you let
This
him
is
off,
definitely
because
is
it's
Night
me.
City in New Jersey? Because with the tracksuit and
You know
Bayonne
me.
sitting next
I'm
to
a
me,
man of the biz.
and the way
I
this
need
guy
to know
talks and
what
dresses,
I get.
like this might be New Jersey. And there's the next incense thing. So let's see, I owe you one. So you avoid trouble. Screw it.
Transactions go two ways. I get that. I'll owe you a favor.
Let's apply to his sensible side. See if it does anything.
If I borrow some ginger ale.
Tempting.
Go right ahead.
Got a Nova idea already.
Alright, let's see what his idea is. And then, unfortunately, I think we're going to probably end the stream here. Dude, this is so weird because it's like, why not just get a tablet? Like,
Screen
that's
sheet.
what this is
Scope it out.
for, is like, it's a tablet. So this is what I was talking about with like Cyberpunk stuff being like, with Cyberpunk stuff being from like, they're now like making it into like a time period, like the way steampunk is, like an idealized time period. Because with all the stuff we've advanced now, like this should have been, he should have been reading from a tablet instead he's reading from a magazine.
Scream sheet.
I mean, the
Scope
magazine
it out.
has like, I guess it's made out of like e-paper, but it's like at that point, why not just have a tablet? Like, I don't care how cheap e-paper gets. Like, it will still probably be more expensive than paper, so I don't know what the point is. Maybe I'm just an old man. I have no idea. So I'm literally going to ask him, what the fuck is this?
What's this? Grab a look.
So I guess... So far, I know this is the
Rewrite there
beginning,
on the page.
like,
Only 4 of them in NC.
mission here. This at least looks better than the Cybertruck.
1, Rayfield Regional Director.
But, like,
2,
right
Mayor
now,
Ryan.
I keep...
3,
This reminds me of, like, old BioWare stuff, where instead of having an answer
and
and then
4?
getting other answers,
Number 4
it's like
belonged
all
to
the
my
other
client.
dialogue
Just as
bits
soon
are
as
just
you
little
were clever
side
for me,
things,
that
and
is.
they're just waiting for me to choose the one that will actually advance the plot. So, like, that's what's been disturbing me so far about this game, like, as legit, because I've been told they advertise this game as, like, being, like, super open world, you can do everything if you want, but when the dialogue, I can only go, and I know it's the beginning, maybe it changes later on, but right now I can only go on the plot that the game wants me to go. Like, there's ways to, like, get me to do the same stuff, but still have variances in dialogue, instead of just being, like, it's like Telltale games where it's like, you know, you ask about his shirt, and you do, and then you still have the other options left. Like, that didn't matter. Like, tell me about the shirt and let that go on to a different subject. Like, don't do this. This actually, to me, screams that either A, which I was going to bring up before, they may have bitten off more than they could chew, kind of like us trying to stream this thing. And 2, is that even though they had, I mean, technically, they got the license in 2012, but I'm going to make an educated guess and say they probably didn't really start actually developing it until like 2016, 2017. So even with 4 or 3 years, this is still rushed. And I think it's literally because they had to delay the game so many times that this probably should have came out fall next year. But they've already delayed so much that they knew if they delayed it again, they would literally have a riot.
I do this, and Pepe's debt is squared.
So I do this, and Pepe's debt is squared.
I'm a man of my word. You know that.
Yeah, I don't know what those ears. If you're man. Also, why do you have money but you kept those ears? Like, our character is not necessarily a looker, but yeah.
You swiped the Rayfield for me.
So apparently,
I
I have to steal a car
for you. I'm such a nice guy.
to clear my friend's name, who's apparently I'm friends with Pepe. How appropriately hacker.
My man Rick works a parking
Look, he's
structure
wearing
by
like a
Embers,
turtleneck
club where a
here.
Rayfield driver likes to kick it. There every Friday night like clockwork.
I wonder if you stare at him long enough, if he will
As soon
notice
as you
that we're
appear,
staring at him.
security cam
Let's
shut
see how
down,
immersive
gate
this world
swings
is.
up, the road is yours. Just gotta
Security
grab the
cam shut
Rayfield
down,
and
gate
roll out.
swing up.
Simple.
Road is yours. You gotta grab the Rayfield and roll out. Simple. I think he's in an endless animation cycle here, making love to this cheeseburger. Oh, now he notices. But he's gonna go back to cheeseburger. Yeah, I think this is just an idle cycle. So yeah. So, question is, who owns this? Oh, I see what they're doing here. You see how that one is yellow? That's gonna prop the plot. These are just, this is literally Telltale dialogue design. So I'm gonna ask him, who owns this ride?
Just an
Probably gonna say
Arasaka
it's none of
suit
my
from across
business.
the water. Spews cash out of every hole in his body.
Yeah, he's doing this really vague. It sounds like he's
And his
setting
name?
us up. Yeah, and his name?
How would I know? Why would I care? It's a hot item.
Yeah,
I know where to find
it's
it.
someone that's gonna either screw. It's probably someone that's gonna screw us over. So better thing. I mean, technically, we could load up like Kayak and plug in. That's like a hacker tool for analyzing car diagnostics and find out. But let's ask the game the question the game wants us to ask, which is, how do we get around the car security? I don't know. So okay, so the car itself has security, not, I guess, the place, which would kind of make sense. It's like how the same reason why people leave expensive bicycles out, but the chain is supposed to prevent that. So it's like once you defeat the lock or the chain, you can just walk up with like a couple $100 to $1,000 worth of equipment. So let's ask him.
How am I supposed to do this? Expect me to
If I was supposed to do this, expect me to slide under a chassis on a skateboard for a quick hot wire, fast and easy. I mean, you could. And also, skateboard. Aren't we supposed to be using
Kirk, wheels
e-skateboards?
like
Or
this
maybe
got security
e-skateboards are so
systems.
ubiquitous
Good ones.
that we just call them skateboards now. Maybe. I don't know. It's kind of like how we call smartphones phones, even though they're not like the older style phones.
This bitty bop works like
Oh,
the
he's gonna
key
give us something?
Rayfield techs use for
This
repairs.
bitty bop.
Opens locks.
I see he comes
bypasses
from
identity.
the Giuliani of naming tech items. So we essentially
A
already
skeleton
have a
key. All
pre-built, I
Rayfields in the
guess,
city.
fucked diagnostic
Come
tool
on,
that works
Kirk,
as a
even you
hacker
don't
tool.
buy that.
Yeah, it's basically what it has is either like direct input codes or RFIDs for I guess
Kabuki's
all
tech
the most
wizards
common
sell
car
more
models.
magical shit
Which
than
then
these
begs us
under
the
the
question,
counter. Have
if
a
there's a
little faith.
device that is easy to do with this, why do you
So,
need me
we all
to do
agree.
this? And the fact that you won't tell me who owns the car tells me it's going to... And I love this. This is false choice. I can take the device and agree, or take the device and threaten him to better keep your word. Either way, I stand up and agree with the deal, and I can't tell him to go fuck himself.
Kinda in a rush
So,
here.
we're just going to end this dialogue tree here,
Best keep your word, Kirk.
and get him, and hope he keeps his word.
Easy V. Job's gonna
Wow,
pad
look
your
at that
wallet
screen
too,
tearing
you know?
right there. Alright, so
Head to
again, I
Embers in the
think this
Glen.
auto
Rick's
saves.
in the garage. Be waiting for you.
So I'm going
You
to
two will
pause
hit
the
it
game.
up.
I just realized something. Is this like Pokemon?
Off.
This might be like Pokemon.
Good luck out there.
Is it the other button
We'll
for
be
the
in
pause
touch.
menu?
Other button, yeah.
Yeah, it's like Pokemon. Where Pokemon, the pause button's not pause. X is pause. Yeah. So I'm just gonna save the game here. New save. That was fast. This is the one good thing about this game is it saved in like half a second. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it on this screen, and this was an interesting life lesson here. Let's put it that way. I'm actually gonna go back to see if we can go back to just the chat. So now there's.
Okay. So I'm going to actually turn off mic, which I normally use, and keep this one. So everyone should hopefully probably hear me, Mouse. I'll reiterate.
Set to monitor and audio.
Yes, that too. Thank you for reminding me. Because, all right, so that should work. So I'm just going to go through a spiel. Again, thank you, everyone who's been watching the stream. We're going to go... it's weird because while we didn't reach the goals that we wanted to tonight, although I'm still very happy, and once again I'm going to read it on the stream, thank you Rob T. Firefly, and thank you Silver Spook, Johnny Xmas, for coming out here, and I'm going to actually exit out of the chat group here. We're on a delay, so it might be resuming shortly. But we want to thank everyone. There we go. Let's see here. Including, again, Johnny Xmas, Silver Spook, and Rob T. Firefly for coming on to the chat and talking some very interesting things while we were tearing our hair out, trying to make devices talk to each other. We're going to talk about how we could probably, like, do different setups because, as you could probably tell, while we do have everything working, it is not an optimal setup we currently have now, so I think we'll probably do... Is it still not doing anything?
I'm trying to figure that out. All I'm hearing is like weird computer noises.
That might be still this game, which means I actually wonder if I should just switch back to... I'm just going to end it on the chat stream itself, because that's the thing. They're two different screen layouts, so whatever you did on one, you have to directly repeat on the... Or which I'd have to do, but I don't want to test it now, is the way I did this stream is you go into one and you copy and paste it to the others, and that way you don't reconfigure.
Sometime before you go streaming again with another freaking show, I want to sit down. Yes, now it's coming through.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually turn off mic, which I know that's where we were at.
Okay.
So, yeah.
There's that much of a delay, alright. So, yeah, no,